Hi everybody, my name is Rin Longmaid. I'm a restaurant broker consultant at Santa Rosa Business and Commercial based out of Sonoma County, California. And I'm the host and founder of this show, Deep Dish Live. It's a Facebook series that streams semi-monthly, and we cover topics related to the restaurant business for restaurateurs, restaurant buyers and sellers, and the restaurant curious. Welcome to episode 4, where I'm going to be talking about restaurant brokerage. What is it and why would you ever need a restaurant broker? Deep Dish Live streams about semi-monthly. Each episode is about 20 or 30 minutes long, and we stream from one of your favorite San Francisco Bay Area restaurants. Today I'm at Cozy Plum Bistro on Mendocino Avenue in Santa Rosa. It's a plant-based eatery, and I'm super excited. I'll be joined by both the owners at different times today. First I'll have Lisa Donne, she's one of the co-owners, and then I'll have the chef and co-owner Charles White. But first I want to introduce my support team today. Not here, but helping out remotely on the Facebook live stream is Holly Hansen of Holly Hansen Public Relations. Hi Holly, thank you. And behind the camera I have Ed Troxel. He's a live media consultant. He works with businesses wanting to do social media marketing. Now you have to say hi, Ed.
Hey everyone.
Usually Ed's a little shy. If you watched episode 3, we live streamed from Valette Restaurant in Hillsburg, and the chef there, Dustin, put up a $100 gift card to the restaurant. Today we'll be announcing the winner to this gift card at the end of the episode, and the way that you can win or qualify to win the gift card is from the day that we stream to the next episode that we stream. So today, Cozy Plum has also generously donated a $100 gift card. So if you like and comment on this post now while it's live, or anytime between now and March 17th, we'll all be streaming at Roma's restaurant in San Francisco. You will have the chance to win this $100 gift card to Cozy Plum. So let's see. Today, like I said, we're safe distance streaming from Cozy Plum. This bistro opened up, I think, within a week. The escrow closed on Lisa and Charles buying this business about a week before COVID restrictions went into place. And they have been successful ever since. They've never been able to open up their beautiful dining room for inside seating, and they've been amazing at pivoting to provide the most amazing plant-based cuisine. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Lisa. This is Lisa LaDonne.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Cozy Plum Bistro. I just wanted to start off by saying how indebted we are to Rin. We could not have done this without, I almost want to get emotional. We couldn't have done this without her. In every way, shape, or form, her as a former business owner of the restaurant herself, to just being a sounding board, she has been amazing. So anything you can glean from her wisdom, you will be better for it.
Unpaid solicitation, but thank you so much, Lisa. So tell us a little bit about Cozy Plum. I want to say first, Charles, because he spent so much time making this place absolutely beautiful. It's really, right now, it's all set up for this booming to-go business they have. So it doesn't represent the aesthetic, so you have to forgive the aesthetic right now. But I was hoping Lisa would take us around and then show us there's a gorgeous outside patio that they set up.
Yeah, so when we took this place over, it had been a vegetarian place before, but it was a buffet centered. And so we really wanted this to feel more like, somewhere you'd go on the street in France, and we have this beautiful space out right on Mendocino Avenue. So the idea was just to open it up and make it light and airy and beautiful. Right now you can see behind us that this is our to-go station. We have this we took their old buffet and we turned it into a warming station to keep all of the to-go stuff hot for our customers. Then we have a patio station where we bring things out to our 12 tables that are on the patio. Do you want to walk out there?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Oh, you are going to get my
Try not to.
I don't think so.
Okay. I got it. All right, so let me just start here This is the space that Gaia's Garden already had when we purchased it, and they had about 6 outdoor patio tables. And so this is how we kind of started. And of course, 6 tables is not a lot if you're trying to stay in business in a restaurant, as a restaurant. So this outside here was a kind of a wild garden with all kinds of flowers and vegetables. And so we dreamt that this is supposed to look like, you know, Paris. And so the lights in the trees and the floodlights and the umbrellas, and then we put this crushed granite down. And this has become a space that we're really, really proud of. And of course, as we have more opportunity, we want to put flowers and vines and maybe some more coverings out here as well. But this is really the place that is the center of our business when it's good weather. This space over here allows us with our heaters and our covered areas to still do some business when it's cold, when it's windy, when it's wet.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
You have to look at the beautiful signage. So that's their logo. And then the plant-based eatery sign. And then Lisa, talk a little bit about how easy it is to order ahead and pull up.
Sure. So we do curbside deliveries, and so basically you call us on the phone. You can also do an online order. You can do Grubhub. You can do DoorDash. And then when they arrive, they just give us a call and we bring it out, rain or shine, and just put it in your trunk. If you really want contact-free, you can put it in your back seat. You can give a treat to your doggy. We just really make it as easy as possible. And then for those people who feel like they can come and enjoy the patio, then we bring their food out. Right now, everything's called a patio picnic, so everything's in to-go packaging. So we have as little contact with things that the customers touch and keep people and our employees as safe as possible. Yeah.
Okay, should we go back inside? Let's go back inside. So tell me, Lisa, can you hear me okay, Ed? You guys are open 7 days a week, 11 to 8?
That's right.
Okay. Let you in.
We also started doing live music on the weekends. It's usually about once a month, but as the weather improves, we'll do more and more in that. And we've had live local bands, and those are huge hits. It's really fun to see life opening up again, and the almost euphoria that people have when they're able to just do the things that we all thought were normal a year ago is really, really beautiful for us. So like last Saturday, we had a band here, the Gypsy Trio, and I just walked around kind of floating around. I thought, this is what a restaurant's supposed to feel like, but we've never had that experience because we were only open 3 days before shelter in place. Anyway.
It was lovely. I saw the post on Facebook and everybody was outside, social distance. It was so gorgeous and lovely. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Lisa has to go pick up her son. She's a school teacher and she's she's doing distance learning with her son. So
that's right.
On top of being a restaurateur. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. So great to see you in real life. Thanks. Bye guys. See you later.
And Charles, the co-owner and chef, and Lisa's friend since high school, will be joining us at the end of the episode. So today's episode 4, and I'm going to talk about restaurant brokerage. What is restaurant brokerage, and why would you ever need a restaurant broker? So a restaurant broker or a business broker is an intermediary. It's somebody who sits between a restaurant buyer and a seller and helps manage that process. So I kind of want to unpack that whole thing. So restaurant sales, business sales, that's the sale of personal property, not real property. So what I mean is when you sell a business, it's not tied to any real estate. Even if it were tied to real estate, there would be 2 transactions. Let's say the seller of the restaurant owned the real property and the business. There would be a purchase agreement for the real property, and that would go through an escrow. There'd be a purchase agreement for the personal property, the business, the brand, the recipes, the licensing, the training, the covenant not to compete, and all that would go through another escrow. So it's only a handful of states in the United States that require business brokers to have a real estate license, and California is one of those states. So it's a little confusing when we use the term restaurant broker or business broker, because what we mean is what they do, what the broker does, not how the broker is licensed. So in California, when we talk about a broker, especially in real estate, we're thinking of the licensed broker. And a licensed broker is licensed through the Department of Real Estate. They've been an agent for a couple of years. Then they have to do higher education than an agent. They have to have more experience, and they take a more rigorous exam, and they become real estate brokers. And then they can have their own office. They can have agents below them. That's what a licensed broker is. In restaurant brokerage and business brokerage, I'm talking about what they do, not what they're licensed for. But restaurant and business brokers in the state of California have to have a real estate license. Now let me tell you this, the DRE, both the educational materials for taking the agent's exam and the exam itself focuses very, very, very little on business brokerage. I think I could say maybe 1%, and even then I might be giving it more of a percentage of the overall learning. So what I'm getting at is, because somebody's licensed with a real estate license does not mean that they're qualified to do business brokerage. So let's see. Do business brokerage, restaurant broker. So what's the difference between a business broker and a restaurant broker? Why is it important to have a restaurant broker work with you? The restaurant industry requires a lot of very specific licensing and permitting the business. And if those things aren't handled properly, then the whole thing can kind of fall apart. So to become a restaurant broker, I would say there's three main things, pathways that a real estate agent can take to become a restaurant broker. One is through education. The other is through mentorship. Somebody who is a restaurant broker mentors them. And three, which is the worst of all, trial and error. So when I talk about education, again, I'm not talking about the Department of Real Estate. I'm talking about trade membership organizations. So in California, there's the California Association of Business Brokers, and they offer a certification called the California Certified Business Broker. That requires the agent's been doing restaurant sales for a while. They take a study to take an exam. They have to engage with CAB, the organization. So it takes several years to become a CBB, is what it's called. Then at the international level, there's the International Business Brokers Association, and they offer something called a Certified Business Intermediary. So their testing is more rigorous than the CBB from CAB, from the California Association. You have to engage, you have to have done a certain number of deals successfully. You have to study for these rigorous exams. It's a proctored exam at the end, and then you can become a CBI. So, and then, just while I was talking about the DRE, you can also, well, I'll talk about that later. So, the other pathway is mentorship. So if an agent wants to do restaurant brokerage, they should work under another agent that understands restaurant brokerage. If an agent's doing trial and error, this is how that would look. Let's say you have a commercial real estate agent or a residential real estate agent who you adore, who you trust, who did miraculous things for you, getting real property or a lease, and you turn to them and say, I want you to help me either sell my business or buy a business. More than likely they'll say yes. But it's really important to make sure you and they understand what the process to sell, especially a restaurant, takes. Selling a retail business, not so important. Selling a medical business, super important. Selling anything, business that requires a contractor's license, it's very important to get a business broker that works specifically in that industry. So let's see. I want to talk a little bit about my background, which will sort of exemplify what it takes to be a restaurant broker. So in 1996, I moved to Sonoma County as a young chef. I was headhunted to work as an executive chef for Amy's Kitchen, the organic, vegetarian, frozen food manufacturer. And I have known that I wanted to own a restaurant. So during that time, I found a listing. I don't even know how I found a listing, and I was introduced to Tom Barnett. Anybody who's been doing restaurants in Sonoma County or the North Bay knows Tom Barnett. He was an amazing person, and he was a little mover and shaker in the restaurant industry. I didn't even know what a restaurant broker was, and most people don't, until you meet a restaurant broker or until you meet a restaurant broker. So for me, I was a young chef. I didn't have any money. I had lots of chefing experience, and Tom took me around the county, and he found a location for me that wasn't operating, and I purchased it 20 years ago for $55,000 as an assets in place purchase. So I'm not going to go into what an assets in place purchase is. If you're curious about that, and you should be, take a look at episode 3 because I go into it pretty deeply. So I purchased that business and I became a restaurateur. I built the brand, I developed the menu, and when I came time for me, when I decided to sell it, I went back to Tom. He sold the restaurant for me, and he said, "Rin, you should go get your real estate license and come work for me." So I did. I got my real estate license in 2004, and I went to work for Tom, and ... I hated it. I wasn't a restaurant broker at that time. I was a business broker. I was helping people sell bookshops and art supply stores and restaurants. And I love all of those types of businesses, but I wasn't connecting to it on a deeper level. But more importantly, I wasn't qualified to be doing those deals. There is so much you need to know as a business broker, and especially a restaurant broker, that I just wasn't comfortable doing it. So I left. And I actually went back to school and I got an MBA. And when I was studying for my MBA, I'm like, this is it. I'm finally going to say goodbye to the restaurant industry. I'm going to get my MBA and I'm going to go for parts unknown. And I'm not kidding you guys. Every project I had in grad school had some focus around food or the hospitality industry. I was like, okay, this is my path, clearly. So when I graduated from school, I was uniquely qualified to teach at the college level, to teach culinary students at the college level management classes. So I taught at the Art Institute in San Francisco and the Culinary Institute of America out in Greystone for about 2 years. After 2 years, Tom passed away very suddenly. It was a very, very sad time in Sonoma County in the restaurant industry when Tom passed away. And the broker that took over Tom's business was Jeff Sacker. And Jeff Sacker, many of you know who Jeff is. He used to own cafes in the Copperfield bookstores, and he'd been a business broker. He actually brought the buyer to my restaurant when I sold my restaurant. He ended up becoming my mentor. So I've been working at Santa Rosa Business and Commercial for 7 years, and under the tutelage of Jeff, but mostly I also engaged with all those membership organizations that I talk about. As soon as I had enough experience, I sat for and passed the CBE certification, and then I went to the International Business Brokers Association and I got their CBI certification. So it took me years to get these certifications, all the while I was doing restaurant transfers and working with Jeff. And then I decided I'd go back to the DRE, the real estate, and get my broker's license. So I have my California Department of Real Estate broker's license. I have the California Business Brokers certification, and I have the International Business Brokers Association's certification. And you can hear from my story that I also had a background in the restaurant industry. Most of us that work at Santa Rosa Business and Commercial have a background in the food industry. I mean, maybe only but 1 or 2 agents, and those that don't work with the rest of us. So they have a lot of, if there's something that they don't understand or know, they have a lot of support with those of us who have done it. So I want to talk about restaurant brokerage in particular, but I want to take a little break because I need to drink some water. Let me see, Holly is going to text me if there's any comments or questions. And if you do, you know, in these I cover a lot of ground. I do a lot of talking. If any of you have any questions or comments, just put them in the feed if you have a question. You can contact me through my Facebook page, or you can contact me through my website. Holly will post all that information on this feed. Again, I want to tell you that Cozy, if you're just joining us, this is episode 4 of Deep Dish Live. It's the Facebook series that has discussions on the business of restaurants for restaurateurs, restaurants buyers and sellers, and the restaurant curious. And today I'm at Cozy Plum Bistro in Santa Rosa, and Cozy Plum has generously donated a $100 gift card. So if you like and comment on this episode 4, anytime between now and the next time we air, which will be March 17th, you have the opportunity to win this $100 gift card. And at the end of the series, at the end of the episode today, we'll be announcing the winner from our former host restaurant, Valette Restaurant. Okay, so restaurant brokerage. So here's the deal with restaurant brokerage. A restaurant, let's see, where do I want to start? So let's say I'm a seller and I own a restaurant and I want to sell my restaurant. The very first thing that has to happen is a broker needs to come in and tell the restaurant seller what their restaurant is worth. So the agent needs to understand restaurant financials, industry margins, occupancy costs, what the market is like in general, the value of the lease, the value of the location, the condition of the kitchen, the licenses and permits that are currently on the premise. And a listing agreement can't even be signed until a price is determined. And if an agent just goes with what the seller wants to sell the restaurant for, it puts the seller at a great disadvantage, because the market for restaurant sales knows what it is, and anybody who places a restaurant for sale that varies from that, the person that it will hurt the most is the seller. So once a restaurant broker is in contract with the seller, then it's time to package the marketing. Again, a qualified restaurant broker will market it on business websites, Businesses for Sale, BizBin, BizBuySell, and BizQuest. Those websites are expensive memberships, and a lot of residential or commercial real estate agents don't subscribe to them. A business broker does subscribe. So if somebody came to me, they're going to be advertised on all those websites, as well as Santa Rosa Business and Commercial's website, my website, Craigslist, as well as MLS. Now here's the deal with MLS. A residential broker is going to put it on MLS, but what if the restaurateur does not want the community to know they're for sale? Most of the time, restaurateurs want the sale to be confidential. When you put it on MLS, every real estate agent in town knows the restaurant is for sale. And although we as agents, realtors, understand confidentiality, it's much more likely that the discussion of the sale of the restaurant will get out to the greater community. So let me pause for a second. In restaurant real estate, there's basically two camps. There's residential real estate, there's commercial real estate. Business brokerage and restaurant brokerage lives under commercial real estate because restaurants live in the commercial realm, but also restaurant brokers are going to deal with commercial leases, and sometimes the restaurant's associated real property. So if you're going to work with anybody, you want to work with somebody with a focus on commercial real estate. But how do you even know if well, I'll come back. How do you know the agent is the agent you want to work with? But let me stay with what it takes to sell a restaurant. So I talked about listing it. I talked about marketing it. The other advantage of working with a restaurant broker is it's one thing to market the restaurant for sale out to the greater community. It's a whole other thing to have a network, to be involved in the restaurant network. At Santa Rosa Business and Commercial, we're involved with the restaurant industry in Marin, San Francisco, Napa, Mendocino, Lake County. We cover the state. So I know of a buyer who's been looking for a deli in Catani, right? Or in St. Helena. So a restaurant broker also brings that sort of intangible benefit to the sellers and the buyers. Another thing about so let's say now the buyer and the seller are in contract. This is actually where this is why it's the most important to work with a restaurant broker. If anything happens during this process incorrectly, it could kill the whole deal. So, and Charles can attest to this, he's over to my right, but a restaurant transfer is a very long process. If the buyer and seller are transferring the liquor license, that alone is a 3-month process. Bring into that the health department requirements. It can be 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. It can be a 6-month-long process. And if a buyer or seller is working with an agent that's not qualified, things can go off the rails very easily. So I want to talk a minute about the health department. When I talk about the health department in restaurant sales, I'm not talking about the inspectors that come in quarterly to the restaurant and give, you get those posters that are posted at the front of restaurants, the grades. That's not what happens. At the change of ownership, it's a completely different department at the health department, and they come in and they do code enforcement. So let's say a restaurant's been operating for 30 years. The health department hasn't stressed code enforcement, but at the change of ownership, they will. They can say, and Charles knows this all too well, the flooring is out of compliance. You need to put in quarry tile. The coving's out of compliance. You need to put FRP, cleanable surfaces. You need to install a prep sink with an 18-inch return, and when you add that prep sink, now your water heater's out of compliance. All of that stuff happens inside of escrow, and if you get a particularly ruling health department site review, then it can throw buyer and seller back into the negotiation of the price of, or the agreed upon purchase price of the restaurant. All the while, the restaurant broker's like, we got to get on that health department, or I'm sorry, on the ABC license transfer. And I'm going to talk about liquor license transfers next episode, so I'm not going to go into that now. But I will say this, the entire escrow process is dependent on that liquor license transfer. And when I say liquor license, I'm not just talking about full alcohol, like spirits. Liquor license also refers to beer and wine. And the reason you would transfer that inside of a sale is there's not an interruption of service after the close of escrow. So the buyer goes through escrow closes, they can start operating, selling beer and wine the next day. But again, I'll talk about that next time in the next episode. The other thing, so a lot of restaurant brokers outside of Santa Rosa Business and Commercial might send the buyer off to talk to consultants to help them with all this stuff. At Santa Rosa Business and Commercial, we do all of this. We'll do the ABC application for the buyers. We'll go to the health department with the application. We'll be here for that health department site review. We'll walk through them, what the details are to satisfy that site review. And all of that is paid just through the commission of the sale. Let's talk about commission. I didn't even have that on here. Commission for a restaurant broker, are you sitting down? I don't know why this freaks everybody out, but it's 10%, or in our office, $10,000 is the minimum. Now, industry-wide, business brokers usually get between 12 and 15%. I'll talk about this in another episode, but trust me, we will earn every penny you pay us in the commission. Right, Charles?
Absolutely.
And then, so let's see, I handle health department, ABC, I want to talk about dual agency, and then I'm going to close this out, and we're going to look at some of the gorgeous food Cozy Plum has to offer. In business brokerage, the agent almost always is a dual agent. And what that means is I almost always represent both buyer and seller. In dual agency, it actually means if there's another agent in Santa Rosa Business and Commercial, one agent's representing the buyer, one agent's representing the seller, that's still dual agency. A lot of business brokers won't even co-broker. They won't even allow another agent to come in. And I'll talk more about this in another episode because that doesn't necessarily serve the seller. But I'll talk more about why dual agency is so, but I'll say this. Because it is so specialized, it requires a dual agent. And because of that dual agency, I and my colleagues, we often work as project managers. We keep things moving along. If they're gonna close sooner than later, we're gonna make sure that happens. Without pressuring buyer and seller, the first conversation I have when I take a listing or I get a purchase agreement between buyers and sellers is patience. What this takes is patience. So with that, I'm going to close out this episode. I want to thank you guys for being patient with all this content. If you have questions, reach out to me. And now I want to bring back my friend and colleague, Charles White. So Charles is the chef and co-founder of Cozy Plum. He is the vision behind this amazing menu. And you guys, this plant-based eatery, oh my gosh, the food is amazing. Let's go over to Charles.
Hi everybody, I'm Charles. Thanks for watching.
And then what have you got for us today, Charles?
Today, I thought about it and I chose two of our most popular items and then I chose my personal favorite. So this is our King Trumpet Pesto Pizza. And these are our soy gluten-free drumsticks.
Amazing.
And these are the tacos duxelle.
Yes. It would be hard for me to tell you which my personal favorite. I often get this. They're both messy to eat in the car because nothing's left before I get home.
Well, these are spooky, similar to real meat.
So delicious.
Yeah. And they're wrapped in yuba, which is the skin that goes to the top of the process of soy milk making. And so they have a skin texture too.
Right,
so,
like a crunchy outside
that's right,
texture.
That's right.
I think, did you post on Facebook the process of making these?
I think I did. Flambeing them and
Yeah.
into barbecue sauce and then broiling them. So yes. But these are my favorites because they're very non-traditional and I'm most proud of them because I just don't think you can get these anywhere.
Amazing, they're delicious.
So I think a proper French chef, if he saw the way I made it, would probably want to strangle me. But nonetheless, I'm proud of it and I think they're very unique.
Charles is a very natural and inspired chef. His flavor palette is amazing. If you haven't come to Cozy Plum and experienced Charles' food, you have to. So I want to pause for a second. When the health department came in for the site review, when it changed from Gaia's Garden to Cozy Plum, Gaia's Garden had maintained this beautifully, but again, they came in and they did code enforcement, and it was brutal.
It was brutal.
It was brutal. Charles was like, you picked up where did you get the water heater?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But we paid a lot of money for it.
Lots of sinks,
Yeah.
water heater, this, did you show the floor? The flooring's so gorgeous. This was an aesthetic decision, but they had to put quarry tile in the kitchen.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think escrows are troublesome for everyone no matter what. At 3 months, ours was 7 months.
7 months.
7 months of just being drained.
But we hung in there. And it took so much coordination between the buyer and the seller.
Well, we hung in there only to be rewarded with 2 normal days, and then COVID hit, and then we had to shelter in place, and we had to scramble and learn how to do to go. And now all we know is to go. We don't take food yet, so.
Well, if their wait time is any indication, they are crushing it, you guys.
We have busy weekends.
Yes. So, thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
I'm going to go back to my little episode.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Episode 4 of Deep Dish Live. It's the Facebook series where I talk about the business of restaurants for restaurateurs, restaurant buyers and sellers, and especially the restaurant curious. Today I'm live streaming from Cozy Plum Bistro, a plant-based eatery in Santa Rosa. If you like and comment on this episode anytime between now and the next time we stream, which will be March 17th in San Francisco at Roma's Restaurant, my friend Matt Liam, you have the chance to win this gift card, which Charles has graciously donated for $100 at Cozy Plum Bistro. And now I want to announce you the winner of the Valette $100 gift card, Jenny Mathis. Jenny, I don't know if you're watching, but I'll reach out to you through Facebook, and if I can't get a hold of you, I'll reach out to Christy, our mutual friend, and make sure you and your husband get this $100 gift card to Valette Restaurant. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you in March. Goodbye.